Good afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, the Pistons have won 10 games in a row, but can they really win the Eastern Conference? Meanwhile, injuries have knocked out a pair of MVP candidates. How will their teams respond? Plus, we take a look at some players whose stock is up and some whose are down. Let's jump in.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now the #1 sports podcast network. However you're tuning in on YouTube or on your podcast app, thanks for making us your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg. Today we're talking about how injuries to Giannis and Wembanyama will impact the Bucks and the Spurs in a minute. We're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast, senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt.
Sticks. Jalen Smith, man, was in the building last night. I love Jalen Smith. He's absolutely one of my favorite players in the NBA. I'm glad to see him getting more shine with the Chicago Bulls. Get Nikola Vucevic. I love Vucevic. Move him out. Jalen Smith needs to start. Jalen Smith is awesome. All hail Sticks. Season of the Sticks.
From the Locked On Bulls podcast, he's also a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report. It's Haize.
The number of role players that Matt says is one of his favorite players in the NBA consistently, I'm starting to think is a little cap. There's no way that Matt Moore is sitting there with that many role players as his favorite player. It's true, but I'll just have to give Matt some shit. That's all.
The best part about it, too, is when there's a good role player, it immediately means to trade other players on the team.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Gotta give him more minutes, I guess. That's the way it is. These role players have to turn into stars. We will talk about the Bulls here in a second, but I want to start with the Pistons, who beat the Pacers last night. They win their 10th straight game. They have a chance to win an 11th straight game tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. They currently have a 2.5 game lead in the Eastern Conference, but there are questions about who they've beaten. Here's Ku Khalil from Locked On Pistons with more.
Over these 10 games the Pistons have won, they've beaten Orlando, which is a good team. But outside of that, they've beaten Dallas without AD. They did beat Memphis, Utah, Brooklyn, Philly without Embiid, Washington, Chicago without Josh Giddey, then Philly again without Embiid, and then Indiana. Some people are saying the Pistons are taking advantage of a weak schedule. I respond to that with winning 10 games in a row is hard for any team in the NBA. I don't care who you're going against. For people who feel that way, the Pistons are going to be going against the Atlanta Hawks. This will be a big-time test. You want to talk about wanting to see this team tested? You want to talk about what they look like against a really good team? You want to talk about what they look like against quality players? A team that rivals them? They're getting one tomorrow.
Matt, are the Pistons good? What do you make of this 10-game win streak? Are you on the side of the people who say, yeah, that's nice, but you haven't beaten anybody?
They can get the 1 seed. They're really good. They're legitimately great. They have the best half-court defense in the NBA. So one of the things I think is really funny is we do this where it's like, well, okay, you've beaten the bad teams, but you haven't beaten the good teams. And I'm like, okay, but if you beat all of the bad teams and you beat all of the good teams, then you're just undefeated and you're 82-0, and that's not reasonable. The other thing with the strength of schedule, like they're third worst in strength of schedule from a metric standpoint, but look at these numbers. The Thunder have the weakest strength of schedule. The Spurs have the 5th weakest strength of schedule. Nuggets 6th. Knicks 9th. Rockets 10th. Do you see a pattern forming here? If you're good, you beat them and they look worse. All those teams that Ku mentioned look better if they're like, oh, but they beat the Pistons. They look better. So there's this reflexive state here early in the season that you just can't get caught up on. Look at how they play. Watch them and look at how they play. And then, look at any sort of league metrics, and you're going to come to the same conclusion. Detroit's offense needs to be better. It hasn't been good enough. It's 17th schedule adjusted so far. That's the area where they've got to improve. But Jalen Duren's been fantastic. Cade Cunningham's been fantastic. Dennis Jenkins has been incredible. Another great game. I think the Pistons are legit. They can get the 1 seed. That's how good they are.
Yeah, sometimes like we get caught up in these, and don't get me wrong, I'm an analytics dude too. I love looking at all these advanced numbers and weird stats and all that type of stuff. But sometimes you also just like there's nothing that beats the eye test, regardless of all of that. The Pistons are a really, 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 really good team, and they can get the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They can come out of the East. The Cavs and the New York Knicks, as Matt pointed out yesterday, look like teams that can be beat. They'll look stronger by the end of the season, but this Pistons team is legit. They've beat who's in front of them. That's all you can do, and they're going to be good even when those other tests come later on in the season.
If you think about what the formula is generally for a contender, it's MVP level scorer, really good defense. And that's what the Pistons have. It's an MVP level scorer when Cade Cunningham comes back and a really good defense. The depth, as we've all talked about here, the depth is really good and improving. They're finding guys like Dennis Jenkins who can just go off for 20 plus points and 8 assists on any given night. Ron Holland has been good. Asar Thompson should be coming back soon. He's obviously been very good for them. Jalen Duren with 31 points last night against the Indiana Pacers. And, it's the Indiana Pacers, not really playing with any real centers, but it's still 31 points for a 21-year-old. Jalen Duren, Haize, he might be the guy in the lead right now for most improved the way that he's played.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. And it's not just even like what he's putting up offensively. Like defensively, he's made a step as well. Like I know sometimes big men are a little bit slower to develop, but there are some Detroit fans that were a little bit disappointed as what his first couple of seasons were, but he's hitting that stride offensively and defensively. He's looking like an absolute beast for that Pistons team.
Yeah, it takes time. Like every, point guard, I think takes the longest curve. I think the curve is kind of power forwards are good right away. Small forwards are good right away. Shooting guards are good right away. Centers take a little while. Point guards take the longest. But like with center, you have to learn. It's as simple as things like, hey, your job is to rim protect, but not like that, right? Like that happens so much where it's like the guy chases a block, but he gives up the weak side. So when they dump it off, there's nobody there to protect the rim. Like you have to be able to show and recover. You have to be able to play different coverages and pick and roll. Like where you're going to position. All of these types of things are really precise, and that's why it takes time. But Duren, I think, has made that leap. They're doing this, and everybody's got injuries. Everybody deals with them, but they've been without Tobias Harris for a long stretch of time. They were without Asar Thompson for a long stretch of time. They were without Isaiah Stewart for a long stretch of time. And they've been without Jaden Ivey since opening night. So, yeah, I don't see how you can really look at this and say that they're anything but in that tier. What I think is an interesting one is like, all right, Magic, Hawks, Pistons. Let's put Knicks and Cavs. Like, we'll keep our priors and put them at the top. But Magic, Hawks, Pistons, which of those three do you think is the best right now? I think it's Detroit.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I think Detroit is playing the best basketball out of that group that you mentioned there, and they're playing really solid on both sides of the ball. Cade Cunningham is he's a star in this league, and he could be a legit MVP candidate, if not this year, definitely in the future.
Trick question, it's the Miami Heat.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. Big win against the Knicks last night.
It was good. It was a good
Nice
win.
game for Kel'el Ware. I think it is the Pistons, right? I mean, they're deeper than those teams now. To Koo's point, there's going to be a nice test for them tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. Second night of a back-to-back. Now, keep in mind, no Asar Thompson and no Cade Cunningham on the Monday night game, so they'll be presumably rested, even though coming off of an injury for the Tuesday night game. But the Hawks, Matt, you've been in the text thread talking about how good the Hawks have been without Trae Young. I think we talked about it maybe late last week also on the show. But it is a legitimate test, regardless of the fact that Trae Young is out for Atlanta.
It's going to be a great game, I think, because Trae Young's out for Atlanta. Like, I don't like doing this. I really don't. I just don't think the fit's good, right? I don't like it when teams try this thing where they're like, we have one huge defensive weak point, and we're going to surround him with defenders. I'm just like, look, you got to find a system where Trae is like the offense is so good that your defense only has to be halfway average.
Mm-hmm.
This team's identity around Jalen Johnson, around Kristaps Porzingis, around Onyeka Okongwu, around all the Vic Krejci, who's playing absolutely amazing. That's a better formula for them. Like this Hawks team, and we're seeing this a lot in the NBA right now. Haize, like watch the Sixers with and without Embiid, and ask yourself which team you think looks better. Watch the Hawks without Trae Young, and ask yourself which team looks better. And it doesn't have to be this conviction of like those guys are losers, those guys are actually frauds, those guys aren't good. No, they're awesome. They're all stars. But it's about what the team is built like and what their potential is. And to me, their potential is so much better without those guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a real conversation that you have to have. It's not always about like, well, I don't know. In Embiid's case, it may be a little bit different, but the makeup of the team matters a lot, and how pieces fit together matters a lot. And that's something that It's not as simple as just let's throw star on X team and boom, they're going to be even that much better if the fit just isn't there. And Trae Young and that fit in Atlanta is a definitely conversation we're going to have at some point in time.
Well, we just talked about whether or not the Pistons are for real. What about Haize's Chicago Bulls? We'll talk about that next. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Daily is brought to you by Rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAD, software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. What I love about Rippling is how it removes the bottlenecks of busy work that slow teams down. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. It's seriously simple to use. It gives companies one source of truth for their people, their data, and everything they touch. Whether you want to run your entire HR, IT, and finance operations as one, or just fill the gaps in your software stack, Rippling can do it all. And right now, you can get 6 months for free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnba. Learn more at Rippling, rippling.com/lockedonnba. That's rippling.com/lockedonnba for 6 months free. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss on any of the excitement of the sports season, whether you're following the NFL, the NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere that Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. I've been using Prize Picks during both football Sundays and NBA tip-offs. It keeps every game more exciting. I like picking my favorite players like Patrick Mahomes and Steph Curry to see how my predictions play out. The new Stacks feature is a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your players leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot saves my lineup from a loss. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. It's time to hit some headlines with a segment that we call around here The Real Question. We'll start with the Milwaukee Bucks, who lost to the Cavs last night, but more importantly, lost Giannis to a groin injury. It was a groin injury that was apparently bothering him all game long until he ultimately walked off the court and did not return. Giannis will undergo testing today on Tuesday to see if he has to miss more time. Haize, the real question, have you seen enough from the Bucks to say that they're contenders with a healthy Giannis?
I have not. And that's not to say that they're trash either. But the Bucks look good, and they look better than I was expecting them to look coming into the season. The recipe of Giannis with shooters, a decent center, is still a recipe. But listen, these teams in the East, like we talked about with the Detroit Pistons or like the Cleveland Cavaliers, once they do get back kind of in rhythm, if they ever do, I just don't think the Bucks can still compete with those teams in the 7-game series. They'll go to the second round in the playoffs. I just don't have them being better than those teams yet.
Yeah, we are unfortunately in lockstep here. It's bad for content, but the floor is a first round exit. The ceiling's a conference finals exit. Like they can make a conference finals and it'd be like, hey, maybe conference finals, you're just a few steps away. If things go absolutely right, the average is probably a second round exit, right? Probably something like a good outcome for them would be a 4-5 and they beat, I don't know, one of these teams that we've talked about, right? Atlanta, Detroit, Miami, Orlando in a 4-5 and then get waxed by the Knicks or the Cavs. Not even waxed, just like, oh, they hung in there, they stole game 1, but the Cavs reasserted things and won in 6 or whatever. Yeah. That's like a pretty median outcome, I think, for this Milwaukee Bucks team. Like, I love how Ryan Rollins is playing. Kyle Kuzma has been quietly not complete garbage fire, which is nice for them. Giannis has been awesome, incredible. This is one of the things that I have to hold myself back from wanting to praise them too much because it's like Giannis has been so amazing and like they're pretty good, but that's like a bad thing, which is Giannis has been amazing and they're pretty good. If Giannis is that incredible, they need to be way better, and that's more about the surrounding talent. If they made some trades, I'd be down, but I don't think they have enough in the coffers to be able to make good offers to really upgrade the squad.
Kuzma, anybody? Anybody want Kuzma? Anybody want Kuzma for a good
Probably
defender?
the Lakers, because he just wants to go back and be a Laker guy again. That's all he wants, is live in LA.
The Clippers could use some bodies. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Look, part of the formula is there, right? There's three things that we've seen that get the Milwaukee Bucks to championship level contention. It's Giannis being out there on the court, hitting enough threes to space the court around Giannis, and then playing good defense. They got the first two. They're second in three-point percentage. Giannis is playing great when he's out there, but their defense is 22nd in the league right now. It's just simply not good enough, and it needs to hit that certain level. That said, guys, like if it were the Milwaukee Bucks in an Eastern Conference Finals against the Cavs, the Knicks, the Pistons, one of these teams, you're definitely, without question, taking the other team as long as, you know, everything's equal and both teams are healthy.
Which teams?
The three teams that we keep talking about at the top here, the Pistons, the Cavs, and the Knicks.
There is a legit question here. Okay, so Giannis is the best player in that series going in. If Cade Cunningham came out as he played the best in that series, would you honestly be like, oh my God? Because I probably wouldn't be. I'd be like, he can do that, man.
Over Giannis?
That's how
I'd be a little surprised.
That's how good he is. That's how good Cade is.
He's great.
Right? If Giannis has a tough time with a great half-court defense with rim protection, and the shooters miss shots, right? And so his assist totals look lower than they probably should be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Giannis is still going to be the best player coming out of it. You're not going to change your assertion. But Cade can outplay him in the series. And that is something I think that can happen.
Let's go to another injury. According to multiple reports, Victor Wembanyama will be sidelined for a few weeks now due to a left calf strain. The Associated Press's Tim Reynolds reported that he's going to be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. The real question,
What is real?
Haize, is it time to put the injury-prone label on Victor Wembanyama?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yeah. It's fair. He's had his first 3 seasons in the league. He's had a major injury each. Any other player, I would say he has an injury prone. Now, I do think he has more than enough time to shed that label, but I do think it's fair to give him that label with what the information we have right now.
People have done this a few times, and I'm confused by it. We do understand that a blood clot is not an injury, yes?
That is true. That is very true.
Like, a blood clot's not an injury. That's not a thing. Like, that is a condition that you develop, which is entirely different. Like,
Details.
It's an extremely important one, because that's the thing, right? Is if we're going to talk about injury prone, to me, the injury prone label at this point to me needs to be identified very specifically by guys that have a repetitive injury issue that results in soreness. How many nights do you see guys being like out knee soreness? Those guys have an injury history, which is that they suffered a knee injury and it has given them consistent problems, whether they had surgery or did not. That is like how that goes. Because like with Wembanyama, it's like a lot of random stuff. And this just happens when young guys get in the league and they're getting used to the physicality. The bigger thing here, if we want to have like a really broad question and a really serious one, why do we keep having this many calf injuries?
What is real?
This is an epidemic. And I am not a doctor. Like, I have no idea. I'm not a trainer. I do not know. But I know that like we're having a serious spate of these things, and they're so common. Like, this is what leads to these Achilles injuries, is guys trying to come back off of these calf injuries and then tearing their Achilles. So you have to be like hyper cautious with it. But like, something in the game, something in the training, something's going on. There's too many calf injuries we got going on right now. Specifically calf injuries is what I'm concerned about.
Haize, are you a doctor? Do you have any take on the calf injuries? Or
I am not a doctor, despite what many may think. But no, the calf injuries is one. I do think that now that there's a clear understanding of how there's better understanding of how calf injuries relate and can turn into Achilles injuries. We're seeing just them be a lot more protective over it, which I think is good. That is growth. But that does mean you're probably going to see a lot more players, where they would have missed a couple of games, miss 2 weeks or more, because they're going to want to make sure that calf tightness is completely gone and doesn't turn into Achilles thing. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. You want to avoid Achilles tears by any means necessary.
last one here. Great game last night between the Denver Nuggets and the Chicago Bulls. Thrilling. Came down to the final possession there, and a statement win for the Chicago Bulls, who were in a bit of a free fall before that, but they get a win over one of the better teams in the league. Haize, again, back to you. Real question.
What is real?
Are the Bulls good?
I say yes. I'll say yes for right now. Out of the Bulls' 13 games so far, 11 of those games have been against teams that are above 500. And this next stretch coming up, out of the next 12 games, I believe 7 of those games against teams that are either 500 or below. So, they're going into the easier part of the schedule. But I think to come out of this where they are, they're good. Now, I don't think that necessarily means they're going to be, a top 6 seed in the East or not. But I do think the Bulls are a good basketball team.
They're very close to good. I'm willing to say that. Shot the lights out first half last night. Just absolutely shot the lights out in that first half. But their overall numbers for that game, only 36% from three, but they got up 53 of them. Like, a lot of this is like Billy Donovan just continues to coach his face off. Like, to have the kind of system that they're finding with the squad where it maximizes the talent. He had a quiet night from the field. Like, he was bad, 5 of 14, but Matas Buzelis, every time he touched the ball, I felt like the Nuggets couldn't contain him, and it caused a lot of breakdowns that led to secondary passes. Giddey was incredible last night. He was great. He actually, the defense on him was pretty good, and he just absolutely torched him. But like, the bench was what ran last night. That's maybe the most interesting thing, is that they keep having the starter bench splits for the Bulls are extreme over this last stretch of games where they started losing, where they're getting killed in the starter minutes. They took Trey Jones out, who had the worst plus minus differential, and they put Isaac Okoro back in, and the same thing still happens. But they outscored the Nuggets bench last night like 66-9 off the bench.
66-9, yeah, it was ridiculous.
That's wild, right? So I just feel like they're good, but it takes a lot of things going right at the same time for them. I don't feel like they're going to – I think their floor is a little shaky to the point where if things go badly, it could get bad.
Got 2 words for you. Ayo Dosunmu. Off the bench. Carrying that plus minus. He was a plus 25 last night against Denver.
Should be playing 33 minutes.
Who do they got to trade?
Nobody on this team is going to play 33 minutes. And Ayo Dosunmu is perfectly suited where he is. On top of that, he was on a minutes restriction yesterday, is why he didn't play more minutes. He has a hamstring injury.
I don't care. It's
one of the great running debates for just niche basketball.
It's not a debate. Matt is wrong. He's wrong about everything with the Bulls. He's wrong about Kobe White being a chucker. He's wrong about, not to say that I would hate Ayo Dosunmu starting. Ayo Dosunmu is perfectly fine where he is on the Chicago Bulls, and he's having a great impact for this team, and he's not going anywhere.
Stock watch is next. Dosunmu, probably buying some stock in Dosunmu. Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's episode is brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You just get connected with a board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rougiette, RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's Rougiette.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, has a show for every team. Check out Locked On Pistons, Locked On Bucks, Locked On Spurs, Locked On Bulls for more on today's top stories. Let's do a bit of a stock watch segment here, guys. So you guys had a homework assignment coming into today's episode. Players or teams whose stock is up, whose stock is down. Let's start on the high note. Let's start with who's some players and teams whose stock is up. Matt, go ahead.
All right, I am gonna go with Phoenix Suns, who have really kind of like turned this thing around. They had a tough loss the other night, but like they're showing they're competitive. Suns are playing great basketball with Devin Booker. They're getting good contributions off of the bench. They still haven't gotten Jalen Green on the court. They've got a pretty deep roster. I think Jordan Ott, his stock is way up as far as being able to instill a winning culture. I think the Phoenix Suns are the team that I've got as the stock up team right now.
I'll go player with my stock up, and we talked about him a little bit yesterday. Is Derrick Queen. I know that a lot is going to be tied to the Pelicans giving up a unprotected first for Derrick Queen, but Derrick Queen has been proving that he's going to be a really good player. I know that Pelicans team still only has 2 wins on the season, but I look at Queen and how he's already taken steps defensively than what I thought he would be. He's advanced. He can do almost everything offensively. Derrick Queen is a really good player. And I want to acknowledge him now because in 3 years, people may not be talking about him at all because he's in New Orleans.
In New Orleans for now.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, they traded so much for him. He better stick around for a while. I mean, yeah, Derrick Queen is already up there in the top 8 of among rookies in points. He's 3rd in rebounds. He's up there in assists as well. Like, He's kind of been a little bit of a game changer for New Orleans. Not that they're winning games, but kind of it just has a different kind of vibe. According to Jake Madison over at Locked On Pelicans, he's talking about that all the time. What about down, Matt? Whose stock is down right now?
It's a group. DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Zach LaVine.
Well, there goes our thing. I had the sign somewhere 6 days without mentioning how bad DeMar DeRozan is. Got to reset it.
I'm sorry, we can remove DeRozan if you guys want. Like Domantas is struggling too. Like Domantas in the last 4 games is a -20. Doug Christie lights into them last week. He goes to the media and he absolutely torches them. Like just absolutely goes off on them. And they responded by losing by double digits in each of the next 2 games. That's a deeply worrying sign for a team with veteran talent. That's concerning. Like, that's supposed to be the spot where you're like, all right, we're professionals. Let's go out there and play better. It's okay if you lose, but you can't be getting blown out every game. So Sabonis and LaVine, like LaVine right now has no trade value, according to Sam Amick of The Athletic. Again, it's got to be those guys. These guys are talented players, but their like value is absolutely in the gutter right now.
What does Sacramento do, Haize? I mean, the vibes could not be more different than the Light the Beam. We're not that far removed from Light the Beam. That was a couple of years ago.
2 years removed from Light the Beam.
What do they do?
Sell everything, burn it all down at this point. Like, it's just the Beam needs to be a pyre of fire because you're burning that whole everything down there. That's what you need to do.
Haize, who do you look at as stock down right now?
I know they haven't been ever really up this season, but I continue to just say the Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies overall. Like, I know Ja's hurt. He's going to be out for a little while, but like this team just, when we talk about 2 years ago, look at before Ja's suspension. Now, this was a team that people looked at was like they were going to be competing up there in the Western Conference for the foreseeable future. And this team, just all that bright future that they had, just seems to have all come crashing down. I don't know where the Memphis Grizzlies are. I don't know who they're going to be this season or going forward into the future. They could trade Ja. They could not trade Ja. I don't know. But I think Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies, their stock is way down.
If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA.